I knew I was in trouble the moment Vittoria's Louboutins clicked across the marble foyer. My hands were still wet from scrubbing the kitchen counters when I heard her voice, sharp, accented, carrying through the mansion like breaking glass. "Where is he?" I didn't answer. Didn't even look up from wringing out my rag. In the 3 months I'd worked for Garth Vanner, I'd learned that silence was survival. Keep your head down, do your job, get your check, go home to my daughter. I asked you a question. Her heels stopped right behind me. I could smell her perfume, something French and expensive that probably cost more than my rent. "Mr. Vanner is in a meeting," I said, my voice steady even though my heart was hammering. He asked not to be disturbed. "A meeting?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "He's avoiding me. Because of you." That made me turn around. Vittoria Castellano stood there in a white pantsuit that probably required dry cleaning after every wear, her dark hair swept into a perfect chignon. She was beautiful in that untouchable way, the kind of woman who'd never scrubbed a floor or worried about a utility bill. "I just clean his house, ma'am. Don't play stupid with me." She stepped closer, her eyes scanning me like I was something she'd found on the bottom of her shoe. "I've seen how he looks at you. How he asks about your day. Your daughter. How he smile like an idiot when you walk into a room." I kept my expression neutral, even as heat crept up my neck. "Mr. Vanner is kind to all his staff." "Kind?" Her laugh was sharp enough to cut. "Garth Vanner doesn't do kind. He's a 28-year-old who inherited his father's empire. He does power plays and business moves. And whatever game he's playing with you." "Vittoria." We both froze. Garth stood in the doorway of his study, and despite his young age, something about the way he carried himself made people step back. Made them remember exactly who they were talking to. He was in shirt sleeves, his dark hair slightly messy like he'd been running his hands through it. "You need to leave." "Garth, please." Vittoria's voice shifted, softened. The Ice Queen melted into something desperate. "We need to talk about us." "There is no us. There hasn't been for 6 months." "Because of her?" Vittoria's finger jabbed in my direction. "Because of some? Choose your next words very carefully," Garth said quietly. The threat in his voice was unmistakable. I should have left. Should have excused myself and disappeared into the kitchen or upstairs or anywhere else. But my feet wouldn't move. "She's a maid, Garth. A 25-year-old single mother who probably needs this job desperately. You think she cares about you? Or just your money?" "I think," Garth said, his eyes never leaving Vittoria's face, "that she shows up every day on time. She works harder than anyone I employ. She's putting herself through nursing school while raising a kid alone. And I think you should leave before I have you escorted out." The silence that followed felt like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Vittoria's perfect composure cracked. Her eyes were wet when she looked at me. "You have no idea what you're getting into. What he is. The things he's done." "I'm not getting into anything," I said quietly. "I'm just here to work." She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something flicker across her face, not just anger, but fear. Then she turned on her heel and walked out, her footsteps echoing through the foyer like gunshots. The front door slammed. The mansion fell silent again. Garth was still standing there, hands in his pockets, watching me with those dark eyes that seemed to see too much. "You didn't have to defend me," I said. "Yes, I did." "Mr. Vanner." "Garth, please." He moved closer, and I caught the scent of his cologne, something woody and subtle. She was out of line. She was right, though. I met his eyes. "I'm just a maid. I do need this job. And whatever she thinks is happening here, it can't." "Why not?" The question caught me off guard. "Because you're you. And I'm me. Because I have a daughter who needs stability, not drama. Because you think I'm like the men Vittoria dates? The ones who see people as possessions." He stepped closer. "I inherited this life, yes. But I also inherited loneliness and expectations and a world where everyone wants something from me. Everyone except you." My throat felt tight. "Garth, I'm not asking for anything right now," he said. "I just want you to know that what Vittoria said, about you being less than, about this being about money, She's wrong. So wrong it makes me sick. 3 weeks later. Absolutely not. I was standing in Garth's bedroom, which I'd been avoiding cleaning whenever he was home, holding up a burgundy suit jacket that probably cost more than my car. What's wrong with it? He looked genuinely confused, sitting on the edge of his bed in dark slacks and an undershirt. You look like you're going to a funeral for a wine bottle. I hung it back in his massive closet and kept searching. The gala is tonight. You need something that says, I'm powerful but approachable. Since when do you know about my wardrobe? But he was smiling. That smile that made my stomach flip. Since you asked me to help you pick an outfit. I pulled out a navy blue suit with subtle pinstripes. Try this. With the light blue shirt. No tie. No tie. He raised an eyebrow as he took the clothes from me. It's a formal event. Trust me. He disappeared into his bathroom to change, and I sat on the chair by his window, my heart racing. This had become our routine somehow. Coffee in the morning where he'd ask about my classes. Lunch breaks where he'd insist I eat with him. Late evenings where he'd find excuses to keep me around. Fixing a doorknob that wasn't broken, moving furniture that didn't need moving. When he emerged, my breath caught. The suit fit him perfectly, tailored to his lean frame. The open collar made him look younger, less intimidating. Real. Well. He spread his arms. Perfect. The word came out softer than I intended. His eyes met mine, and something shifted in the air between us. Come with me. What? To the gala. Come with me. He said it like it was the most natural thing in the world. Garth, I can't. Why not? Because I'm your maid. Because people will talk. Because I don't have anything to wear to We'll fix that. He grabbed his phone. I'm calling my stylist. No. Too late. He was already dialing, that stubborn set to his jaw that I'd learned meant he wasn't backing down. For hours later, I was standing in front of a mirror in the most expensive boutique I'd ever entered, wearing a dress that cost more than 3 months of my salary. It was deep emerald green, fitted at the waist, with a neckline that was elegant but not too revealing. The fabric moved like water. Miss, you look stunning, the stylist said, adjusting the hem. Garth appeared behind me in the mirror, now fully dressed in his suit. His eyes widened. That's the one, he said, his voice rough. It's too much. It's perfect. He stepped closer, and I could see his reflection over my shoulder. You're perfect. My hands were shaking. I can't accept this. Then don't think of it as a gift. Think of it as a work uniform. His lips quirked. I'm requiring your presence at a business function. That's not how employment law works. Then think of it as. He paused, his eyes meeting mine in the mirror. A man asking a woman he's falling for to spend an evening with him. The boutique fell silent. Even the stylist had gone still. You're falling for me? I whispered. I fell 3 months ago. His hand came to rest on my shoulder, warm through the fabric. The moment you told me my coffee maker was too complicated and made me use a French press instead. When you laughed at my terrible jokes. When you let your guard down for 5 seconds and told me about your daughter's science project. I turned to face him. Garth, this is crazy. I know. He smiled, but there was vulnerability in his eyes. Believe me, I know. But I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting to hear your voice or make you smile. And I'm tired of pretending I don't. The stylist quietly excused herself. What about your world? I asked. Your business associates? The people who'll see us together. Let them see. His hand came up to cup my cheek. I've spent my whole life doing what's expected. Dating who's appropriate. Playing the role. And I've been miserable. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. You make me feel like myself. Like I'm more than just my last name. I have a daughter. And school. And a life that's complicated. I know. And I want all of it. The complications, the 2 a.m. study sessions, the kids' science projects. All of it. My eyes were burning. This is insane. Probably. He smiled. Is that a yes? I should have said no. Should have been practical and smart and protected my heart. Instead, I whispered, yes. His smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. The gala was everything I'd imagined and more. Crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing like water, women in dresses that cost more than cars. I felt out of place, despite the expensive dress and the way the stylist had done my hair. But Garth's hand was warm in mine, anchoring me. "Relax," he murmured as we walked in. "Half these people owe me money. The other half want something from me. You're the only person here who sees me as just Garth." "You're not just Garth," I said. "You're never just anything." His eyes softened, and he lifted my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles. That's when I saw Vittoria. She was across the room in a red dress, holding a champagne flute, staring at us with undisguised shock. "She's here," I said quietly. "I know." Garth's hand tightened on mine. "Ignore her." But Vittoria was already weaving through the crowd toward us, her face a mask of fury. "You brought her here?" She stopped in front of us, her voice low and venomous. "To a business function? Are you trying to humiliate yourself?" "I brought my date," Garth said calmly. "And if you have a problem with that, there's the door." "Your date?" Vittoria's laugh was brittle. She probably doesn't even know which fork to use for salad. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I worked as a server all through high school. So I probably know more about proper table settings than most people here." Vittoria's eyes flashed. "You think you're clever? You think you can just walk into this world?" "Vittoria." Garth's voice was ice. "You had your chance with me. You treated me like a credit card with legs. She treats me like a human being. That's the difference." "She's using you." "No." Garth cut her off. "Used me. For my connections, my money, my name. She doesn't want any of that. She wants late-night conversations and help with her daughter's homework and someone who understands what it's like to work for something." Vittoria's face went white. Around us, people were starting to stare. "I loved you," she whispered. "You loved what I represented," Garth said, not unkindly. "There's a difference." For a moment, Vittoria just stood there, her perfect composure finally cracking completely. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I released a breath I didn't know I was holding. That was... I started. "Overdue," Garth finished. He turned to face me fully. "Dance with me?" "I don't really know how to." "Neither do I." "Not really." He led me to the dance floor anyway, pulling me close as a slow song started. "We'll figure it out together." And we did. Swaying together in that glittering ballroom, surrounded by people who probably judged us, with his hand on my waist and mine on his shoulder, I felt something click into place. This was real. Messy and complicated and completely unexpected, but real. "Thank you," Garth murmured against my ear. "For what?" "For saying yes. For taking a chance. For seeing me." He pulled back to look at me and his eyes were bright. "For making me remember what it feels like to want something for myself, not because it's expected." I reached up, touching his face. "Thank you for seeing me too. Not just the maid or the single mom or the struggling student. Just me." He kissed me then, soft and sweet, in the middle of the dance floor. And I knew that whatever came next, the challenges, the judgment, the complications, we'd face it together. Because sometimes love doesn't follow the rules. Sometimes it shows up in the most unexpected places, with the most unexpected person, and changes everything. And sometimes, just sometimes, the maid gets her fairy tale ending. Not because a prince saved her, but because two people found each other in a world that tried to keep them apart, and chose each other anyway. 6 months later. "Mama, Garth says I can have a puppy." My daughter's voice echoed through the mansion that had somehow become home. I looked up from my nursing textbooks, spread across the kitchen island now, not hidden away, to see Garth holding hands with my 6-year-old, both of them grinning like conspirators. "He did he?" I raised an eyebrow at him. Garth had the grace to look sheepish. "I may have mentioned it was a possibility." "After," I emphasized, "she finishes 1st grade with good behavior." My daughter's face fell, then brightened. "I can do that." She scampered off to play, leaving us alone. Garth crossed to where I sat, wrapping his arms around me from behind. "You're a terrible influence," I said, but I was smiling. "Says the woman who's corrupted me with reasonable coffee makers and home-cooked meals." He kissed my temple. "How's studying?" "Good. 2 more years and I'll be a nurse." "I'm proud of you." He meant it. I could hear it in his voice. I turned in his arms, looking up at him. "Thank you. For all of this. For believing in me. Always." His eyes were soft. "You know, I was thinking, that's dangerous." He laughed. "I was thinking that this mansion is too big for just me. And you're here most of the time anyway. And your daughter has already claimed the room with the window seat as hers." My heart stuttered. "Garth. Move in with me. Officially. Not as my maid." He cupped my face. "As my partner. I love my future." Tears pricked my eyes. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He kissed me softly. "Except maybe that I love you." "I'm absolutely certain about that." "I love you too," I whispered. And as he held me in that kitchen where this had all begun, where I'd once been just the maid trying to survive, I realized something. Fairy tales don't always look the way we expect them to. Sometimes they start with dirty dishes and judgment and impossible odds. But when they're real, when they're built on respect and understanding and genuine love, they end exactly the way they should. Happily.